Have you ever wondered why so many biblical figures from Moses to Jesus practiced fasting? Or why even today, millions of people around the world continue this ancient practice? And more importantly, have you questioned if you are missing out on something powerful by not incorporating fasting into your life? In this video, we will uncover the secrets of fasting that attract God's presence. We will explore how this seemingly simple practice can open spiritual doors you never imagined existed. And don't worry, we'll also cover the two crucial mistakes many people make when fasting. Mistakes that can turn this powerful experience into something frustrating or even counterproductive. Fasting is much more than simply abstaining from food. It is a deep spiritual practice that opens the doors to an unparalleled divine connection. Many people do not understand the true power of fasting, seeing it only as a physical deprivation. However, when done with the right intention, fasting can completely revolutionize a person's faith. It's as if, by setting aside earthly needs, we become more receptive to heavenly messages. Imagine tuning an old radio. As you turn the dial, you pass through static and noise until you find the perfect frequency. Fasting works similarly, adjusting our spiritual frequency to better capture the divine voice. Embarking on this journey of abstention, we are not just denying the body its usual source of energy. We are, in fact, making room in our being for the spirit to grow stronger. It's like cleaning out a cluttered room so that light can enter and illuminate every corner. During fasting, many report experiences of mental clarity, deep insights, and a palpable sense of the divine presence. These are not coincidences, but the direct result of turning away from the mundane and towards the sacred. It's as if, by emptying the stomach, we are creating a vacuum that the divine rushes to fill. The spiritual power unlocked through fasting is not limited to moments of quiet and contemplation. It manifests in all aspects of the practitioner's life. Many testify to an increased capacity for discernment, greater resistance to temptations, and an inner peace that persists even amidst life's turbulence. It's as if fasting equips us with a more precise spiritual compass, allowing us to navigate the turbulent waters of existence with greater confidence and serenity. This ancient practice has the power to transform not only our relationship with God, but also our interaction with the world around us. Unlocking this spiritual power, many discover an inexhaustible source of inner strength. Problems that once seemed insurmountable become manageable challenges. It's as if fasting reminds us of our true essence beyond physical limitations. This revelation can be profoundly liberating, enabling us to face life with a new perspective. Imagine climbing a mountain. Each step of fasting is like reaching a new plateau, offering a broader and clearer view of the path ahead. This clarity not only benefits us individually, but also empowers us to be beacons of light for those around us. When practiced regularly, fasting becomes a powerful tool for continuous spiritual growth. It's like exercising a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. Similarly, the more we dedicate ourselves to the practice of fasting, the more sensitive we become to the nuances of the spiritual world. This heightened sensitivity can manifest in various ways. Some report more vivid and meaningful dreams, while others experience a sharpened intuition in their daily decisions. It's as if the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds becomes thinner, allowing us to glimpse realities beyond our everyday perception. One of the deepest rewards of fasting is the renewal of purpose and passion in our spiritual journey. Often, the routine of religious life can lead us to a state of complacency, where rituals and prayers become mechanical. Fasting acts as a spiritual alarm clock, shaking us out of this stupor and reigniting the flame of devotion. It's like rediscovering an old love. Suddenly, scriptures take on new meaning, prayers flow with greater sincerity, and the divine presence becomes almost tangible. This renewal not only enriches our personal lives, but also makes us more effective witnesses of divine grace to the world. The power of fasting to unlock spiritual revelations is truly remarkable. Many practitioners report moments of epiphany during their periods of abstinence, as if veils were lifted from their spiritual eyes. These revelations can range from insights into long enigmatic biblical passages to clear directions for important life decisions. It's as if, by silencing the noise of the physical world, we can more clearly tune into the frequency of the divine. These experiences are not reserved only for saints or mystics. They are available to anyone who genuinely dedicates themselves to the practice of fasting with an open heart and a receptive mind. One of the most profound transformations that fasting can provide is a change in our perspective on life's trials. Situations that once seemed unjust or unbearable begin to be seen as opportunities for spiritual growth and refinement. It's as if fasting equips us with spiritual lenses, allowing us to see the divine purpose even in the most challenging circumstances. This change in perspective not only brings us inner peace, but also enables us to be sources of comfort and wisdom for those around us who are going through similar difficulties. Fasting also has the power to break negative patterns and entrenched addictions in our lives. By exercising self-control in the physical realm, we strengthen our ability to resist temptations in all areas. It's as if the act of denying food to the body trains our will to deny food to harmful habits. Many testify to surprising victories over long-standing addictions after dedicated periods of fasting and prayer. This liberation is not just personal, but often extends to generations, breaking cycles of destructive behaviors that may have plagued families for decades. One of the most beautiful rewards of fasting is the deepening of our empathy and compassion for others. By voluntarily experiencing hunger, we become more sensitive to the suffering of those who go through involuntary deprivations. This awareness often leads to an increased desire to serve and help those in need. It's as if fasting tunes our hearts with the heart of God, allowing us to see the world and its inhabitants through His loving eyes. Many find that, after periods of fasting, they feel compelled to engage more actively in works of charity and social justice. The power of fasting to strengthen our faith cannot be underestimated. Each moment of hunger becomes an opportunity to reaffirm our trust in God as our true source of sustenance. It's as if each pang of hunger is a gentle reminder to turn our thoughts and hearts towards the divine. This constant practice of dependence on God during fasting spills over into other aspects of our lives, leading us to trust Him not only for our physical sustenance, but for all our needs. The result is a more robust and unwavering faith, capable of facing any storm that life may bring. Fasting also has the power to sharpen our spiritual perception, making us more sensitive to the voice of God and the movements of the Spirit. Many report an increased ability to discern the divine will for their lives during and after periods of fasting. It's as if the act of depriving the body of food opens spiritual channels that normally remain dormant. This spiritual clarity can manifest in various ways, from a deeper understanding of the Scriptures to a clearer sense of direction for important decisions. Fasting, in this sense, becomes a valuable tool for those seeking divine guidance in their lives. One of the most surprising rewards of fasting is the increase in spiritual creativity and productivity. Many testify that during periods of fasting, they experience a flow of inspired ideas for ministries, service projects, or innovative ways to share the gospel. It's as if, by disconnecting from worldly distractions, we become clearer channels for divine creativity to flow through us. This burst of inspiration often leads to initiatives that positively impact not only our lives, but the lives of entire communities. Fasting also has the power to restore broken relationships, both with God and with other people. By humbling ourselves through fasting, we often find the strength to forgive past offenses and seek reconciliation. It's as if the act of denying ourselves food reminds us of the importance of denying our pride and selfishness for the sake of healthy relationships. Many testify to miracles of restoration in their marriages, families, and friendships after dedicated periods of fasting and prayer. This relational healing is a powerful testimony of God's transforming love. One of the most powerful manifestations of fasting is the strengthening of our spiritual authority. As we more fully submit to God through fasting, many experience an increase in their effectiveness in intercessory prayer and deliverance ministry. It's as if fasting aligns us more perfectly with the divine will, allowing us to pray and act with greater power and precision. This increased authority is not for our own glory, but to be a more effective channel of God's grace and power to a needy world. Fasting also has the power to prepare us for times of trial and temptation. Just as Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to fast before facing temptations, our practice of fasting equips us for the challenges ahead. It's as if each period of fasting is a spiritual training, strengthening our resistance against the enemy's attacks. Many testify that after periods of fasting, They feel more prepared to resist temptations that previously defeated them easily. This preparation not only benefits us individually, but also makes us examples and sources of strength for others who are struggling. Finally, the power of fasting to attract the manifest presence of God is truly extraordinary. Many report tangible experiences of divine glory during fasting periods, from supernatural peace to physical manifestations of God's presence. It's as if fasting creates a spiritual vacuum that God rushes to fill with His presence. These experiences are not an end in themselves, but serve to strengthen and equip us to serve more effectively in God's kingdom. In this sense, fasting becomes not only a personal discipline, but also a catalyst for revival and transformation on a broader scale. Hunger is a familiar sensation to all of us. That pang in the stomach, the growling that sometimes surprises us at inconvenient moments, they are constant reminders of our basic need for food. It's no wonder we feel this way. After all, God, in His infinite wisdom, designed the human body to function based on this vital need. Food is the fuel that keeps our bodily machine running, providing energy for every cell, every organ, every movement we make. It's fascinating to think that from the moment we are born until our last breath, this need accompanies us, shaping not only our daily routine but also significant aspects of our culture and society. But what if, for a moment, we decided to go against this divine programming? What if we chose to voluntarily give up this essential fuel? This is where the practice of fasting comes in. By choosing not to eat for a period, we are essentially saying, there is something more important than satisfying my physical hunger at this moment. It is an act of rebellion against our own nature, but a rebellion with a purpose. Imagine a racing car making a pit stop. It momentarily gives up speed for a greater goal, to improve its overall performance. Similarly, by fasting, we temporarily forego physical food to nourish our soul and spirit. Fasting creates an interesting paradox in our being. On one hand, we feel our physical fragility more intensely. Hunger reminds us of our dependence on food. On the other hand, as we resist this basic impulse, we discover an inner strength we might not have known we possessed. It's as if, by denying the body bread, we are feeding the spirit with heavenly manna. Many report that during fasting, they experience heightened mental clarity and spiritual sensitivity. It's as if by silencing the stomach's noises, we can hear the divine whispers more clearly. The act of fasting also places us in a unique position of empathy. By voluntarily experiencing hunger, we connect more deeply with those who involuntarily go hungry. This can awaken in us a renewed desire to help the needy, to fight against the injustice of hunger in the world. It's as if fasting equips us with special lenses, allowing us to see the world and its needs with greater clarity and compassion. Many find that after periods of fasting, they feel more motivated to engage in acts of charity and social justice. There is also an aspect of self-discipline in fasting that cannot be ignored. In a society where we are constantly bombarded with food options and encouraged to satisfy every desire immediately, fasting goes against the grain. It teaches us to say no to ourselves, to delay gratification for a greater good. It's like a muscle that, the more exercised, the stronger it becomes. Many find that the discipline developed through fasting overflows into other areas of their lives, helping them overcome addictions, establish healthy habits, and make decisions more aligned with their values and long-term goals. Fasting also provides us with a unique opportunity to reflect on our relationship with food. In our culture of abundance, it's easy to fall into the trap of eating out of boredom, stress, or habit, rather than true need. Fasting forces us to confront these patterns, to question our motivations for eating, and to rediscover true hunger. Many report that after periods of fasting, they develop a renewed appreciation for food, savoring each meal with greater gratitude and mindfulness. It's as if fasting resets our spiritual palate, allowing us to savor not only food but life in general with greater intensity. The balance between physical needs and spiritual pursuits is a recurring theme in the scriptures. Jesus himself reminds us that man shall not live by bread alone. Fasting allows us to experience this truth tangibly. By depriving the body of food, we discover that there are other sources of sustenance: the Word of God, prayer, fellowship with other believers. It's as if by emptying the stomach, we create space for God to fill our soul. Many testify that during fasting they experience an intimacy with God that seemed elusive amid the distractions of daily life. It's important to note that fasting is not an act of body denial or a form of self-punishment. On the contrary, it is a recognition that we are integral beings, body, soul, and spirit, and that sometimes we need to prioritize one dimension over the others to achieve overall balance. It's like a gardener pruning certain parts of a plant to promote healthier, more abundant growth. By fasting, we are essentially pruning our physical dimension temporarily to allow for more vigorous spiritual flourishing. Fasting also offers us a unique perspective on our dependence on God. When we remove something as basic and essential as food from our lives, we are forced to confront our fragility and dependence. It is a powerful reminder that ultimately, our life and sustenance come from God, not from our own capabilities or resources. Many report that during fasting, they experience a deeper surrender to God, a renewed trust in His provision and care. It's as if by stripping away our self-sufficiency, we open ourselves more fully to God's grace and power in our lives. Finally, fasting connects us to a spiritual lineage that dates back to ancient times. From the prophets of the Old Testament to the saints and mystics throughout church history, fasting has been a central practice for those seeking a deeper connection with the divine. By fasting, we are not merely following an empty ritual, but participating in a rich and meaningful tradition. It's as if through fasting, we are weaving our own spiritual story into the great tapestry of faith. This awareness can bring a sense of purpose and belonging, reminding us that we are not alone in our spiritual journey, but part of a faith community that extends through the ages. The Holy Scriptures are filled with powerful examples of fasting, each offering valuable insights into this profound spiritual practice. One of the most notable is the Day of Atonement, described in Leviticus. On this solemn day, all the people of Israel were called to afflict their souls, a phrase scholars interpret as a reference to fasting. Imagine an entire nation united in an act of abstinence and spiritual reflection. It was not just an empty ritual, but a moment of deep repentance and collective renewal. The Day of Atonement teaches us that fasting can be a powerful tool for spiritual purification, not just individually, but also on a community scale. It is a reminder that our spiritual actions can have an impact beyond ourselves, positively affecting an entire community. Moving to the New Testament, we find Jesus, our greatest example, engaging in an intense 40-day fast in the wilderness. This period was not just a demonstration of physical discipline, but a crucial spiritual preparation for the ministry to come. During this time, Jesus faced intense temptations, but emerged victorious, strengthened for the mission ahead. His example teaches us that fasting can be a powerful weapon in our spiritual battle, a shield against temptations, and a catalyst for spiritual growth. When we feel weak or vulnerable, fasting can remind us of the strength that comes not from food, but from every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. In Matthew 6, Jesus offers specific instructions on how to fast, emphasizing the importance of sincerity and discretion. He warns against ostentatious fasting done to impress others. Instead, he encourages a private and intimate practice known only to God. This teaching reveals the heart of true fasting. It is not a performance to gain human approval, but an act of sincere devotion to God. It is like an intimate conversation between lovers, not meant for the ears or eyes of others. When we fast in this way, we create a sacred space in our lives, an inner sanctuary where we can meet God without the distractions of public recognition. The book of Esther presents us with another powerful example of communal fasting. Faced with a threat of genocide, Esther calls on all her people to fast for 3 days before she approaches the king with her plea for clemency. This collective fast not only united the people in a time of crisis, but also prepared the ground for a miraculous divine intervention. Esther's story reminds us that fasting can be a powerful tool in times of crisis, uniting believers in a common purpose and opening the doors for divine intervention. It is a testament to the power of collective faith and fervent prayer, amplified by the act of fasting. In the book of Joel, we find a passionate call for a national fast in response to an agricultural crisis. The prophet exhorts the people to consecrate a fast, proclaim a solemn assembly. This was not merely an act of desperation, but a demonstration of repentance and an appeal for divine mercy. Fasting in this context becomes an act of collective humility, an acknowledgement of the nation's dependence on God. This passage teaches us that fasting can be an appropriate response to natural or national calamities, a means of turning to God in times of extreme need. The Apostle Paul, in his epistles, frequently mentions fasting as part of his regular spiritual practice. In 2 Corinthians, he lists fasting among the trials he faced for the sake of the gospel. For Paul, fasting was not just an optional discipline, but an integral part of his walk with God and his ministry. His example encourages us to see fasting not as an occasional event, but as a regular practice that can strengthen our faith and equip us for the challenges of ministry. It is a reminder that spiritual growth often requires consistent sacrifice and discipline. In the book of Daniel, we find an example of partial fasting. Daniel and his companions abstained from rich foods, opting for a simple diet of vegetables and water. This Daniel fast resulted not only in physical health, but also in increased spiritual wisdom and discernment. This story teaches us that fasting can take various forms, and that even partial abstinence can bring significant benefits, both physical and spiritual. It is a reminder that we can adapt our fasting practice to our specific circumstances while maintaining the spirit of devotion and sacrifice. Finally, in the book of Acts, we see the early church engaging in fasting as part of their pursuit of divine direction. Before sending Paul and Barnabas on their first missionary journey, the church in Antioch fasted and prayed. This example shows us that fasting can be a valuable tool in seeking God's will, especially in times of important decisions. It is a reminder that when we strip away our own wills and desires through fasting, we become more receptive to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Fasting in this context becomes an act of surrender and trust, paving the way for God to direct our steps in powerful and often unexpected ways. Sincere fasting, as taught by Jesus, is a deeply personal and intimate practice between the individual and God. However, there is a subtle danger that many face: the temptation to make fasting a display of spiritual prowess. Jesus was emphatic in warning against this trap in Matthew 6:16. 18. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. This is the first and perhaps the most crucial point about what not to do during fasting. Do not fast to be seen by others. It is a clear warning against spiritual ostentation, a reminder that the true value of fasting lies not in human approval, but in intimate connection with the divine. The temptation to make fasting a public spectacle is understandable. After all, it is a challenging practice, and there may be a natural desire to receive recognition for our spiritual efforts. However, Jesus teaches us that such display empties fasting of its true purpose. When we fast to impress others, we are essentially exchanging God's eternal reward for the temporary reward of human applause. It is like trading heavenly treasure for earthly coins. True fasting, that which pleases God, is done in secret, away from admiring eyes or public approval. It is an act of pure devotion, motivated by the sincere desire to draw closer to God, not to elevate one's spiritual status in the eyes of others. Jesus goes further in his instructions, advising, "But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." This guidance is not just about maintaining appearances, but about keeping the heart in the right posture. The oil on the head and washed face symbolize an attitude of joy and normalcy even during fasting. It is a reminder that fasting should not be an occasion for self-pity or drawing attention to our spiritual suffering. Rather, it should be a time of inner joy, knowing that we are approaching God in a special way. Practicing discreet fasting also protects us from another danger: spiritual pride. When we keep our fasting secret, we are less likely to fall into the trap of considering ourselves superior to others because of our spiritual practices. Secret fasting helps us maintain an attitude of humility, reminding us that we are not fasting to elevate ourselves above others, but to humble ourselves before God. It is an opportunity to cultivate genuine humility, recognizing that all spiritual strength comes from God, not from our own efforts or discipline. Furthermore, keeping fasting private allows us to focus entirely on our relationship with God, without the distractions of others' opinions or expectations. When we fast privately, we create a sacred space in our lives, an inner sanctuary where we can meet God without interference. It is in this private space that we often experience the deepest revelations and most significant transformations. Secret fasting allows us to be completely vulnerable and authentic before God, without the need to maintain a facade for others. Lastly, discreet fasting benefits our faith community. When everyone practices fasting in secret, it creates an atmosphere of humility and equality in the church. There are no spiritual comparisons or competitions, just a community united in their devotion to God, each person seeking to grow in their own spiritual journey. This promotes an environment of mutual grace and acceptance, where the focus is on God rather than on our own spiritual achievements. Thus, secret fasting not only draws us individually closer to God, but also contributes to a healthier, Christ-centered faith community. Fasting, far from being merely a physical deprivation, is a powerful spiritual discipline that forges resilience and strengthens character. Just as an athlete trains their body to face physical challenges, fasting trains our soul to face spiritual challenges. It is an exercise in self-discipline that goes beyond controlling our appetite. It teaches us to master our impulses, desires, and even our thoughts. When we decide to fast, we are essentially saying no to the desires of the flesh and yes to the longings of the spirit. This practice equips us with an inner strength that transcends the physical, enabling us to face temptations and trials with renewed determination. Many testify that after periods of fasting, they feel spiritually stronger, more focused, and more capable of resisting the pressures of the world around them. Fasting also proves to be a powerful tool in intercessory prayer. When we combine fasting with prayer, we create a spiritual synergy that amplifies our petitions before God. It is as if fasting adds urgency and intensity to our prayers, demonstrating our seriousness and commitment to the causes for which we intercede. Many great revivals and spiritual movements throughout history have been preceded by intense periods of fasting and prayer. This practice puts us in a position of total dependence on God, recognizing that our own strengths are limited, but that in our weakness, God's power is made perfect. By fasting, we are essentially standing in the gap, interceding not just with words, but with our entire being. Additionally, fasting proves to be an effective weapon in overcoming spiritual obstacles. Often we encounter barriers in our spiritual lives that seem insurmountable. Persistent addictions, negative thought patterns, or even spiritual attacks. Fasting, combined with prayer and meditation on God's Word, can be the key to breaking these strongholds. It is as if fasting tunes us more finely to the spiritual realm, increasing our sensitivity to God's voice and strengthening our resistance against negative influences. Many testify to significant breakthroughs after dedicated periods of fasting. Restored relationships, broken addictions, clear direction received for important decisions. Fasting reminds us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in the spiritual realm, and equips us for this battle in a unique and powerful way. Fasting, while often practiced as an individual act, also has a profound and powerful communal dimension. Throughout biblical history, we see remarkable examples of collective fasts that united God's people in crucial moments. One of the most notable cases is led by Ezra, when he called for a national fast before a dangerous journey back to Jerusalem. This act not only unified the people in a common purpose, but also demonstrated a collective dependence on God for protection and guidance. Similarly, Queen Esther, facing a genocide threat against her people, called for a 3-day fast that mobilized the entire Jewish community. These examples show us that communal fasting can be a powerful tool for facing collective challenges, seeking divine direction, and strengthening the bonds of faith within a community. Community fasting has the unique power to amplify the spiritual impact of the practice. When a church, a prayer group, or even an entire nation comes together in fasting, it creates a spiritual synergy that goes beyond the sum of the individual parts. It's as if each person fasting is a thread in a larger fabric, strengthening the entire spiritual tapestry of the community. This type of collective fasting can create an environment conducive to revival, spiritual renewal, and social transformation. Historically, many great movements of God were preceded by periods of community fasting. Think of the revivals led by Jonathan Edwards or the prayer movements that swept through South Korea in the 20th century. In each case, collective fasting prepared the ground for a powerful manifestation of God's presence and power. Moreover, community fasting strengthens the bond between believers in a unique way. There's something deeply unifying about knowing that others are joining you in this spiritual discipline. Sharing the struggles and victories of fasting can create a sense of camaraderie and mutual support within the faith community. It's an opportunity for those experienced in fasting to guide newcomers, for the strong to support the weak, and for everyone to grow together in faith. Community fasting can also be a powerful testimony to the surrounding world. When a community unites in fasting for a specific cause, whether for revival, healing for a nation, or social justice, it tangibly demonstrates its faith and dependence on God. This can not only impact the participants, but also touch those observing from the outside, drawing them into a deeper experience with God. Fasting, like any powerful spiritual discipline, requires clear preparation and purpose to be truly effective. Many embark on this spiritual journey with enthusiasm, but without proper reflection and planning. This is a common mistake that can significantly diminish the impact and benefits of fasting. For those new to this practice, it is highly recommended to start with a one-day fast, allowing the body and mind to gradually adjust to this new discipline. It is crucial to emphasize the second grave mistake many make when fasting: not fasting without proper preparation and a clear objective. This misconception can turn a potentially transformative experience into a mere exercise of purposeless deprivation. Fasting without preparation is like embarking on a long journey without a map or a defined destination. It can lead to unnecessary discomfort, frustration, and in some cases, even health problems. Furthermore, without a clear objective, it is easy to lose focus and the spiritual meaning of fasting, reducing it to a simple diet or physical challenge. Preparation for fasting involves several aspects. Firstly, it is important to consult a healthcare professional, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions or are taking medications. Some people may need to adapt their fast or opt for alternative forms of abstinence that do not compromise their health. Next, it is essential to prepare mentally and emotionally. This can involve meditating on the reasons for your fast, reading relevant biblical passages, and talking to spiritual mentors or trusted friends who can offer support and guidance. Setting clear goals for the fast is equally crucial. These goals can vary widely, from seeking divine guidance for an important decision to interceding for a specific cause, or seeking personal spiritual breakthrough. Having well-defined goals not only gives purpose to your fast, but also provides a point of focus during challenging moments. It's like having a beacon guiding your way through the sometimes turbulent waters of fasting. Preparation also involves practical aspects. In the days leading up to the fast, it is advisable to gradually reduce food intake, especially those rich in sugars and fats. This helps minimize physical discomfort during the fast. Planning how you will use the time usually spent on meals is equally important. This can be a precious moment for prayer, Bible reading, or silent meditation. It is important to remember that fasting is not just about abstaining from food. It should be accompanied by an intensification of spiritual life. Plan specific moments for prayer, studying the Word, and reflection. Some find it helpful to keep a journal during the fast, recording insights, struggles, and spiritual experiences. This not only helps maintain focus, but also provides a valuable record for future reflection. For those gradually increasing the duration of their fasts, it is crucial to do so with wisdom and discernment. Starting with shorter periods and gradually increasing allows your body and mind to adapt. Remember, fasting is not a spiritual competition. It is not about who can fast the longest, but about creating a space in our lives for a deeper connection with God. Finally, it is essential to plan how you will break the fast. Returning abruptly to a normal diet can be shocking to the digestive system. Plan to reintroduce foods gradually, starting with light and easy-to-digest options. This process of breaking the fast can also be a moment of reflection and gratitude, allowing you to assimilate the lessons learned and the insights gained during the period of abstinence. We have reached the end of this journey of discovery about the transformative power of fasting. But remember, this is not the end, but just the beginning of a practice that can revolutionize your spiritual life. Fasting, as we have seen, is not just about abstaining from food. It is about making space in our lives for a deeper connection with God. It is a powerful tool that, when used correctly, can lead us to deeper levels of faith, discernment, and intimacy with the divine. Now the question remains, how will you apply this knowledge in your own life? Are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth? Imagine for a moment how your life would be if you could hear God's voice more clearly, resist temptations more easily, and experience a deeper level of peace and purpose. All of this is within your reach through the practice of fasting. How about starting today? Perhaps with a fast of just one meal, or an entire day if you feel prepared. Remember, it is not about the duration, but about the intention. And do not forget the two crucial points we discussed. Do not fast to be seen by others, and do not fast without preparation and a clear objective. Keep your fast between you and God, and set a specific purpose for your practice. Have you already experienced the power of fasting in your life? Or perhaps you have faced challenges when trying to fast. Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear to take the first step in their own fasting journey. And if you felt that this video touched your heart and opened your eyes to the power of fasting, why not share it with friends and family? Together, we can create a community of people committed to deepening their faith through this ancient yet always relevant practice. Remember, each spiritual journey is unique, and fasting is just one of the many tools at our disposal. But it is a powerful tool, capable of opening doors you might not have even known existed. So, are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to challenge yourself and see what God can do in your life through fasting? Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue learning about this and other topics that can transform your spiritual life. We have a lot of amazing content planned for you, exploring the depths of biblical stories and how they apply to our lives today. Until the next video, remember, your fast can be the catalyst for a spiritual revolution in your life. Do not underestimate the power of saying no to food and yes to God. May your fasting journey be blessed and transformative.